Yeah! So OBS totally just crashed on me. OBS is Open Broadcaster Software. And it totally crashed. Which means that for a few moments there, I was just talking to myself. Which is pretty much the same as streaming, but you don't feel like someone is sharing in your experience. So yeah, so this is totally all about my signal strength. I apologize in advance. There's nothing I can do about that. And if OBS crashes on me again, which I suspect is because of this signal issue, I will stop streaming. I'll start recording just straight to video, and I'll post it to Twitch and YouTube after it's done. Which means I'll probably also be watching some streams as I'm working. So it can be like two shows in one, sort of. And there are several factors affecting my signal strength here. Sometimes it's like A-okay, no problems at all. But like right now, I've got 45% of my frames missing, dropped. And I mean, there's just nothing I can do about that. So, at the very least, as long as it continues recording and doesn't completely crash, I'll have a video that I can post. And what I'll do is, if it does crash another time, like it did just now, I'll just stop streaming and I'll just record it, because at least then it won't be trying to tackle the signal strength issue. And you'll still have access to this lovely, lovely, wonderful entertainment. Lovely, wonderful entertainment, also known as watching Bill's life. Damn voyeurs. Oh, hey, look at that! So now, take all my garbage and throw it on the ground. Poof. I think that's half the fun of my stream, is watching Will be a fucking mess. Poof. I think it feels good to throw things on the ground. That may also be because I was harmed when I threw things on the floor. So for me, throwing things on the floor is a good time. So this is what we just wrapped up there. These gargantuan-sized bases, all of the edges and the corners, sharp corners that would normally make it a shuriken, have been removed. And so now we have our stack of colossal and gargantuan-sized bases made of cardboard, totally measured out, totally cut out on the edges, and the only thing left for them to have cut is the slats in the center. Boy, oh boy, our signal is just terrible. Oh well. I'm going to keep going with this for right now. Hang in there with me. If all else fails, I'll post a video and apologize profusely. Coffee is like love. Okay. So, actually, I think... let's see what we can do with these. Okay. So I've determined that my plastic, on the really shiny, slick side, does not let ink adhere to it. But on the matte, rough mottled side, it looks like it does. So, what I'm going to do is draw only on the side that I can work with. And I'm going to mark my 3/16 and 3/8 of an inch marks on the edge of this. I'm going to try to determine 90 degrees as best I can from that edge. And mark across to give it a good straight edge for when I'm cutting. And then I'm going to do the same 3/16 and 3/8 of an inch mark to either side of the center line. And then I'm going to connect those so that I have and I'm going to try not to touch the ink very much because it's going to just walk right off of this plastic if you mess with it. So, okay. And so what I've got there is my plastic, and this is my edge that I worked with as the straightest edge. And there we go. And so, yeah, you get the idea. And so that's for the colossal sized base pieces, which have a little bit thicker. They have a little more room to work with outside of the center slot. So, I don't know what my point was. I don't know what my point was. I'm sure I had one, but I lost it. I have a hard time figuring out exactly where I want these measurement lines to be. I'm very, very cautious about where I want my measurement lines. I don't want to have to do this 1,000 times. And the only other, the only problem I've had with this in the past was when I didn't have it at 90 degrees. And so sometimes that will mess with your measurements if you don't have it lined up right. But there is such a thing as going too far. And I have been known to be that guy. I have been known to be the guy that goes a little too far in his calculations of things. Why? Because I want it perfect. There's no such thing as perfect. You have to get over that shit real fast. But there is such thing as just careful enough. Yeah, there you go. So I'm also trying to determine which edge is going to be used as the inside and the outside edge. Oh, you know, actually this stuff doesn't come off with the plastic very easily. That's great. So that means I don't have to be nearly as careful with stuff. So looks like that's supposed to be outside that edge. Oh wow, yeah, this really doesn't come off all that easily. Even when you like lick at your finger and rub at it, it kind of takes a minute. So it's not nearly as mobile as I thought it was. Still, it can't hurt to be a little cautious. It can't hurt, could it? Probably could. What else? Oh, yeah, that's right. So we're still having a 54% dropped frame rate, which tells me that this is not one of my better broadcasts. But that's okay, because I will survive. It's hard to figure out which side I went with on this. It's all right. Also in the top. So, with these pairs, the smaller pairs for the gargantuan-sized bases, these ones, we only have a half an inch to work with on the very edges of these cardboard pieces. So, what we need to do is figure out which sides look like 90-degree angles-ish, and mark off half inch. Stay just a little short of it so that you don't have too much. Okay. Easiest way to do this. Find the center point. 90-degree angle line. As close as you can get it. And then 3/16, 3/8 of an inch mark. Doesn't want to do it on this part. That's alright. Mark it just enough that you can still see it. Yeah. That'll still be enough to cut out. So same thing. This edge looks pretty flat, so we're gonna go with that. 1/2 inch. Just a little short, just a smidgen, not even a full 1/16 of an inch short. Like seriously, not even half of a 1/16. That's 1/32. For those of you who know how to count, basically just barely short, because it doesn't need to be the exact width of a 1/2 inch like the gargantuan base itself. It just has to be wide enough to fill most of that space. So I'm marking an approximate halfway point, trying to get 90-degree angle as best as I can. Go to my opposite edge that I'm going to cut at. 3/16 of an inch, 3/8 of an inch. Kind of just move those measurements back, because it's not very far from the edge to that line. I don't know if you can even see that. Maybe you can't see that. That's okay. And I'm not lifting them up because they're too small. I mean, well, okay. I'll lift them up. See, so small you can barely even see the measurements. So. But I can see them, and that means I can cut them. And if I can cut them, that means I can do the project. That looks like a flat edge. That looks like a flat edge. Half inch. Mark the line across. And see, the other thing about this is I try to make it a little bit short, because sometimes when I'm making these marks, they're actually a little bit outside the line. So like this is actually going to end up probably being just a little bit thick. So there may still be repair work ahead. Damage control is what I call it. So you can't fix everything in the middle of the project. Some stuff you can try to prepare for, but sometimes you just got to go with the flow. In any case, there's my halfway. Here's my 3/16 and 3/8 of an inch marks. They look pretty good, really solid. It's those side edges that are weird, so okay. Let's do an inch. Half-inch mark. Half-inch mark. Yeah, because like with that last one, even though I made the half-inch mark inside the line, when I ended up connecting those two marks to make the line like I'm doing right now, it actually ended up being outside the line, which means it's going to be a little bit thick. So it's just better to think about those things at this part, at this stage, so that you know which things are going to look a little bit funky and which have to be repaired. That way it doesn't totally freak you out when things don't line up. Because sometimes you're just like, how I measured everything out. How is this not working? And a lot of times it's just because you're not compensating for some of those lines. Maybe the width of the line, or putting it on the line or to the side of the line. It's like you're dealing with really small distances down here sometimes, especially with these gargantuan sized ones, because you only have a half-inch of space to work with for that support. That's why I'm making those plastic pieces. It's a physical support. You put it between the two layers of cardboard with a bunch of glue and paint and everything, and it solidifies it so that when I cut that slot out of the center of this, that edge isn't so thin that you just tear it. Because that's what would happen if you just had just cardboard and glue and paint, is you're going to be able to tear right through that. It wouldn't even last very long. But if you throw that extra layer of plastic in between and bond it all together, when it dries, all of those layers put together, it's like when they try to tear a phone book in half, doesn't matter how hard you tug at it, it's not going to happen. It's because all those layers create friction against one another. Makes it really solid. It makes it solid, and we like it solid. We like solid things. We don't like ephemeral, fluffy clouds and shit. We like solid. Solid things I can throw at the floor. Make sure they're not going to break on me. Maybe that's the reason I like throwing the stuff on the floor, is because I know that the little bits and pieces can't actually break. There is no broken quality when you toss them on the floor. Oh, 63% dropped frames. No! Oh well. One of these days it won't be like this. One of these days we're going to have a really cool setup and maybe some cool paid musical stuff. Like where we get shit because we're like, hey, this is badass. We want to play you on our station. People are like, yeah. But that's going to take some fucking work. Because I need to find stable housing. I need to get the remainder of my belongings here. Because I personally feel that having the rest of my stuff, including my gaming supplies and my art supplies, I personally believe that having access to those would not only help my confidence, but that I'd actually be able to do more. So I'm just putting it out there that if you want to see this succeed and continue, feel free to donate to my GoFundMe page. I'll put a link up before we get done. I'll put the link. So I will put the links in the stuff. Sometimes I like to sing, even if it's not the tune that I'm listening to. That happens. Occasionally. When I say occasionally, I mean several times a day. And so, thus, therefore, heretofore, let it be known that whereas we exited hosting mode when hosting HyperRPG, that we are now not host mode of we are host ourselves to things that are of such matters. Let it be known, proclaimed heretofore. And there's probably people out there that are like, what is he on about? He's just on about it. It just goes. You don't question it. You roll with it. Roll with it. And so, thus, therefore, so as heretofore, let it be known. I wonder if there's anybody out there that even understands like why he does this. Why does he do these things that he does? Well, see, I'd be doing them by myself in the privacy of my own home. But it's just so much more fun when you're doing it and sharing it. Sharing is caring. Yeah, this one's gonna be all fucked, unfortunately. But its little partner is doing okay, so we can handle that. So again, like I said, the tedious bits, I think I'm gonna move away from that tedious bit, just at least for a moment. I might even take a break. So, at some point, these minis are going to look pretty darn fancy. And when I say minis, they're actually, I mean, they are small, I mean, compared to the creatures themselves. But they're going to be pretty darn big. Okay, so I keep yawning, which is usually an indicator that you need to stand up and not be sitting. So I just did the cutting of the outside edges. I did some measuring on those plastic pieces to show you where you want to have those measurements so that you can cut the center slot out of those and the center slot out of the cardboard pieces. And the plastic is going to go around the outside edge of the thinner portions on the bases. It's going to go in between the two layers of cardboard and form a support. You're going to want to paint the cardboard with your first coat and maybe a second coat of primer first before you adhere the plastic in the middle, okay? And it doesn't matter what you use to put the plastic in the middle, if it's glue or more acrylic paint or gesso or some other primer or whatever, it doesn't matter. But you want to make sure that you have your cardboard primed with at least one layer. I prefer to do 2 or 3. I think last time I did at least 2. I did at least 2 layers last time. I think I might have done 3. But yeah, I like to make sure that the cardboard has a good layer. Oh, that's what it was. I did 3 layers on the unpainted sides and 2 layers on the painted. When I say painted, the side that has a surface on it, a slick surface, and it's an enamel or a, it's a binder. It's actually binding the cardboard together. So I like to put 2 layers on the bound surface and 3 layers on the unbound surface. And so yeah, technically that does mean that there's only 2 layers on the 2 layers of paint on the layer that's going to be adhering to both the cardboard and the plastic. The point of that is the more layers of paint that you put in between these surfaces, the better that they're going to adhere together. And so you can actually throw paint onto the plastic bits, but I find that didn't help at all. Either paint or glue or anything just falls right off that plastic. The only way to make it actually adhere is to put it in between some layers of stuff that's already plasticized pretty well, and that's what's happening when you throw all those layers of paint onto something. With the acrylic paint, it's turning it into a thick layer of plastic. Acrylic is a plastic of sorts. Sorry. Don't take my word for it. Look it up, and then come back and tell me that I'm wrong. That would be great. Please do. Please correct me. This is the channel for correcting of things. If I'm a moron, and if you have to point it out that I'm a moron, I'm happy that you did so. So there. Now you know. So it's also going on 8 o'clock. So 8 o'clock my time is usually when I switch over from creative day to creative night. Insomnia. And so I like to do that at about this time. The real question is, am I going to take a break, or am I just going to keep on working? I don't know. I'll sit here and decide. See, this is the dancing portion of the program. Oh, did I mention I'm not a very good dancer when I'm sitting? Actually, I like the dancing portion of the program, to be honest. I think that we need to do more with the dancing portion of the program. Hyper RPG does the whole thing. When you subscribe, they dance. Dance Monkey Dance. And they dance on camera for you. Right then and there. It's like on-demand That's telling the entertainers, this is what I want. And then they give it to you right away. That is pretty fancy. You have to admit, it's pretty fancy. So the real question is, am I going to cut this stuff up, keep measuring, or take a break? I keep asking myself, so I think it's take a break time. Yep, I think it's take a break time. So what I will do is I'm going to mute this, and wow, yeah, we're at 70% dropped frames. Wow. It's fine. It's fine. I'll upload the video. It'll be great. Wonderful. So, I'm going to take a good long break so that when I come back, I will change it from creative to creative insomnia, like that. And, we're on the cusp. And we will do the things that are done when things are done. But things that get done as things tend to do as they are done. Oh no! Oh. Wow. Well, that now hosting Squidish essentially means that's what that means. So we're going to stop streaming. I'm going to hit stop recording because we're now hosting Squidish, which is fine. Hi, Squid. And I'm going to stop recording this, and I'll upload it, and then we'll try this again. We'll try this again shortly. So hold your breath.